There was one god who crossed the boundary into the world of the dead again and again. Hermes. For him, the underworld was not a place you had to escape from. It was a road. For mortals, it was different. Odysseus went there for an answer. Heracles was sent to bring Cerberus out. Theseus and Peirithous wanted Persephone, and Orpheus wanted to bring back something the underworld was never supposed to give up. Someone it had already claimed. They all came to the same boundary. But what happened on the way back was different every time. So the real question is not how they reached the world of the dead. It is this: what did the underworld let back out? Odysseus did not want to defeat death. He was not trying to bring anyone back. He needed something you could not see. An answer. Troy was behind him. But Ithaca seemed farther away than ever. After years of monsters, gods, and wrong turns, Odysseus no longer even knew whether there was still a way home. Circe knew someone who did. Tiresias, a prophet whose knowledge had not disappeared with his death. There was only one problem. Tiresias was dead. So Odysseus sailed farther than a living man was ever meant to go, to the edge of ocean, into a land without sunlight. There, he dug a trench into the earth. He poured offerings into it. Then came the blood, and the dead began to appear, first a few shadows, then more. But among them, Odysseus suddenly saw a face he had not expected: his mother. When he left Ithaca, Anticlea had still been alive. Now only her shade stood before him. She wanted the blood. She wanted to speak. But Odysseus held even her back, because no matter how badly he wanted to know what had happened to her, she was not the reason he had come. He was waiting for another dead man, Tiresias. Only when the prophet appeared did Odysseus let him drink. And Tiresias gave him exactly what he had come all this way to find: a warning, a path home, and a glimpse of what still waited ahead. Odysseus left the dead with no treasure, no trophy, no person at his side. What he brought back could not be seen. Knowledge, a warning from the world of the dead, had crossed the boundary. But knowledge is invisible. What happens when someone tries to bring something out of the underworld itself? Heracles had already fought things no ordinary man would ever want to face. But his final labor was different. He was not simply told to descend into the underworld and come back. He had to bring something with him, the guardian of the boundary itself, Cerberus. Heracles had to cross the line between life and death and bring its own guardian to the other side, and this time Hermes was with him, the god who knew the way. Heracles descended, until at last he stood before Cerberus. Then exactly what the guardian was supposed to prevent happened. Cerberus left the underworld. Heracles brought him up, out of the darkness, back into the world of the living, only briefly. Cerberus would return. Odysseus had come back with something invisible, knowledge. Heracles went one step further. He brought something into the light that was never meant for the world of the living. Cerberus, the guardian himself. Heracles had gone down to complete a task. Theseus and Peirithous believed they could simply go there and take whatever they wanted. No one had sent them. They were not searching for a prophecy. They had their own plan, and that plan was more than madness. It was a challenge to Hades himself. Peirithous wanted to marry, but not just any woman. He wanted a daughter of Zeus. He chose Persephone, queen of the underworld, wife of Hades, and Theseus went with him. Two living men intended to descend into the realm of the dead, take its queen, and bring her back into the light. Maybe they believed their reputations would protect them. Theseus had killed the Minotaur. Peirithous was a famous hero. They had survived things other men would never even attempt. But Hades was not a monster in a labyrinth, and this was not their world. He knew why they had come. He did not need to threaten them. He did not even need to touch them. Hades simply offered them stone seats. Theseus and Peirithous sat down. And the moment they did, they were trapped. They tried to stand. They could not. No fight, no great battle, just one moment. They had descended into the underworld to take someone out. Now they could not even leave themselves. No Persephone, no triumph, no way back. The men who believed they could enter the underworld, take its queen, and simply walk away became the ones who remained behind. But the next man wanted to steal nothing. Orpheus wanted no treasure from the underworld, no guardian, no prophecy. He wanted Eurydice, the woman he loved. She was dead. A snakebite had taken her from him. For most people, that would have been the end. Orpheus refused to accept it. He followed her, down to the dead. But Orpheus did not have the strength of Heracles. He had no weapon to fight his way through the underworld. He did not need one. He had his music. And down there, something strange happened. The dead listened. The restless shades stood still. The punishments of the underworld seemed to pause for a moment. Even Cerberus fell silent. Orpheus did not sing to defeat Hades. He sang because he wanted one person back. And eventually, his music reached even Hades and Persephone. Then Orpheus was given something none of the others had been given, the chance to bring back exactly what he had come for. Eurydice. She was allowed to follow him, out of the underworld, back toward the living. But there was one condition, one rule, and perhaps that was exactly what made it so cruel. Orpheus had to walk ahead. Eurydice would follow behind him, and until both of them were back in the light, he could not turn around. Orpheus could not see her. He was not allowed to check whether she was still behind him, not even for a moment. Maybe he could hear her footsteps. Maybe they became quieter. Maybe at some point he heard nothing at all, but he had to keep moving, without her hand, without her face, without any proof that anyone was still behind him. Step by step, upward, the light came closer, and the closer it came, the more dangerous the uncertainty became. He could not know whether Eurydice was still behind him. He could not know whether her footsteps had stopped. He could not know whether he would reach the exit, only to discover that he had walked the entire way alone. He had almost made it. Almost. Then Orpheus turned around. She was there. Eurydice. For a single moment, he saw the reason he had gone into the underworld at all. It had worked. She had followed him. She was almost back. Then she was taken from him again. She reached out toward him. Orpheus could not hold her, and this time there was no second chance. He returned to the light. Eurydice did not. And this is where the god from the beginning of the story becomes important again. Hermes. While all of these men had to discover what the underworld might give back, Hermes did something completely different. He led the dead in. After Odysseus killed the suitors in Ithaca, their bodies remained behind. But their souls needed a guide, and Hermes came for them. With his golden staff, he gathered the souls together. They followed him away from the world of the living. Homer compares their voices to bats fluttering deep inside a cave, and Hermes led them onward, to a place the others reached only under extraordinary circumstances, and suddenly the pattern becomes clear. Hermes carried messages between worlds. He guided travelers across boundaries, and here he led souls across the final one. For Hermes, it was a road he already knew. The others came to that boundary wanting very different things. One wanted an answer, one wanted the guardian, two wanted a queen, and one wanted back the person he had lost. Some found what they had come for. Some lost it on the way back. Some never came back themselves. Perhaps the real question was never who could reach the world of the dead. It was what the underworld let back out.